How's it going, everyone? This is a deck I've been working on in PTR. This is before Homecoming is officially launched. Today is the 21st. So this is something you will be seeing in roughly 2 days. This is a Scoia'tael deck. As you can see, it is focused around removing your opponent's board. To start off, we have Ethne. Very strong leader with Scoia'tael. Works very well with cards such as Gigni, Regis, and Shiru. We'll go through the combos a little later when we get into gameplay, but notable combos: Gigni does what he does in the normal game, which is remove the highest units on an enemy row with 15 or more. Obviously, Ethne can help you line up with that. Regis is similar to an effect like Defile in Hearthstone, which is you do damage to a row. If you kill a unit, it repeats again. You set up with Ethne, you get a 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're basically wiping the entire row. Shiru's very different card and actually was updated since last PTR. Last PTR, he did not have the Zeal tag. And the Zeal tag is what makes him change from unplayable to actually pretty good card. He's 2 strength and he's 11p. He's a little on the expensive side. But his ability is when you proc the order, you destroy all other units with the same power as Shiru, not including himself. So what you can do, if you were to play this by himself, he's 2 strength, and you activate him, and you kill a bunch of 2s, which is pretty underwhelming. But you use him with Call of the Forest, which shuffles an allied into your deck and plays a unit with the same primary category from your deck and boosts it by 3. This is very important. This boost by 3 is what allows this card to interact with Shiru very, very well. So if you Call of the Forest on an elf, let's say Dragoon, you throw Dragoon back into your deck, you pull Shiru out, and Shiru hits the board at 5. So if your opponent has 2 6s on the board and a 5, you can use Ethne, ping 2 6s down to 5, activate Shiru's ability, and it wipes 3 5s off the board, which is very strong. But if you don't draw Shiru, you can use Thunderbolt Potion to boost up Shiru. I was having issues drawing Shiru in my hand and him being pretty underwhelming, so I included Thunderbolts into the deck so that he wouldn't brick as often. Scoia'tael is a 8 strength immune dragon. Once during the game, you can use this order and it gets immune. Not super useful. You could use this with a card like Adrenaline Rush, but the problem with Rush is it's too expensive at AP. It's a cute combo, not very consistent, which is why I don't play it. The main reason this card is in the deck is it's a big body and it has a immune tag on it, which means your opponent can't interact with it, which means it's fantastic for the deck. Marching Orders is in the list because it pulls high priority cards such as Gigni, Regis, or Shiru. These are your 3 2s, and it will consistently pull one of those 3 cards. Generally, you should draw at least 1 to 2 of them, so you usually know what you're pulling, so it can be very, very consistent, very strong in this deck. Because these are basically your win cons. Scoia'tael, as you'll find out if you start reading through the cards and playing the game, doesn't really have big point finishers. Like proactive point finishers. I can't play a 20-point card on the board other than Aglace, but Aglace is kind of a meme, if you will. Scoia'tael's win con is to remove your opponent's win con, as of now. So you have these high swing potentials with cards like Gigni, Regis, and Shiru with the help of Ethne. Lemons basically wipes out your opponent's graveyard. This is very strong against any faction that renews a card from their deck. SK has cards like Freya's. You'll completely deny them. An artifact deck that plays cards like Sea Hill and tries to re-res them with Caretaker. You can deny that. Overall, just a solid card. This card will see less play if factions like SK see less play, but for now, solid card. Milva, another immune card, boosts off by 1 whenever you play a Scoia'tael unit. As of now, when you play a trap, so like a crushing trap, it boosts Milva. The game is counting traps as units. I think it's a bug. I don't know if it'll stay. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, very strong card because of the immune tag. Anything with immune is just strong. Good card. just a solid body that you can play at the beginning of a round. Nice engine. Thunderbolt Potion, as we mentioned earlier, for Shiru. Crushing Trap. After 3 turns on start, damage all enemies on the row with the most units by 2. If you want, you can proc it early and flip it over and do 1 damage instead. If like a round is ending sooner than you had anticipated. Very strong card. If your opponent has 5 units on a row, it's getting about 10 value for 6 provision cost, which is above average. You can use cards like Dragoons to line things up. It's a solid card. Not 100% if it's correct. If people start running more artifact removal, it might just be wrong, and you might have to pull them out. I'm still debating these. Right head sappers, it's just artifact removal. If you remove an artifact, you are very happy. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. Archers, just solid 5 for 5. Helps you line up cards like Gigni and remove engines. Bowman, same thing. Basically, most of the rest of these cards are just deal damage so that you can line up cards like Gigni, Shiru, Regis, or just remove engines. Dragoons interact well with Crushing Trap, and once again, Gigni, Regis, Shiru. Elven Swordmaster, this card I'm a little shaky on. It's really the only engine outside of Milva in the list. It damages an enemy by 1, and there's a 2 timer on it. Every time you play an elf, you decrease the cooldown. Honestly, the real reason why it's in the deck is because I couldn't find anything to put in the 4 slot. Because in the 4 slot, it needs to be above 2 base strength, right? Because I need marching orders to be hitting these 3 cards. So I can't play anything that has 2 or 1 strength. So normally, like BME are much better. I actually really like this card, but I can't play the card because of marching orders. Skirmishers are pretty good too, so I can't play either of these 2 cards. So this card's, if your opponent doesn't have any removal, it actually gets pretty decent value. But once again, this is a work in progress. This is 2 days before PTR. We don't really know what the meta looks like because people are still trying to figure out, well, what's good, because a lot of cards got nerfed between the open PTR and this private closed PTR. Alright, let's get into some gameplay. We actually found a game. I was surprised how fast that went. I was actually kind of worried that we wouldn't find one. Because it is getting kind of late here. And the majority of the players are sleeping at this hour. Playing around M here. A card from your battlefield to your hand. This is generally played in a Witcher deck, which also means a lot of times it's played with a Letho, which removes your mulligan, so I should be using my mulligans in round 1. I actually don't know what to mulligan here. Keep this. I want to keep 1 mulligan. I don't want to use all 3, but I do want to use minimum of 2. Just to play around Letho. Generally, for mulligans in this list, you don't want Shiru in your hand. Unless you also have a Thunderbolt Potion. But yeah, I mean, mulligans in this list are actually pretty straightforward. Don't have bad cards, I guess. But, I mean, most of your bronzes are actually fine. I guess your lowest point bronze... Well, it's Swordmaster, and that's not even that bad, and it's an engine, so you actually do want to draw it in round 1.
It's not too late to walk away.
So Isabel, next turn, if he chooses to, it's basically Shylard effect. He draws 2 cards, he gets to choose 1. Gives 1 to me, gives 1 to himself off each deck. I don't have any kind of lock, so I can't actually interact with this, so we're just going to have to let it be.
Swords I smile at, weapons laugh to
This is
scorn.
melee, so make sure you play it in the melee row. We're going to see what we lose here. I actually don't know if we get to see what he takes.
I'm too old for this shit.
So here's the Vesemir Witcher deck that I was talking about. He will most likely leader this as well. So this makes cards like the Witcher, the trio Witchers, 16.
Tomfoolery! Enough!
Yeah, 16 on play. 666. I would assume he'd play his leader. The downside would be if he has one of the triple witchers in hand. Okay, so he chose not to steal our card. I mean, granted, our card's pretty bad, so I'd be surprised if he did steal it. We have Crushing Trap and we won Coin Flip, which means I don't mind if this round goes long. So we're going to opt for a longer round. We're going to go ahead and ping first. There's no reason not to. We don't have Gigny in our hand, so hitting high unit is never bad. The question is, what do we play here? We're probably just going to play an Archer, but we can play Panther instead. The only reason to play Archer is to get this to go down a tick, but we can do that next turn. There's no rush to do it now, right? Because every time you play an elf, the counter on this goes down by 1. So next turn, if we need the extra point of damage, we can play the elf. We also have Ethne, obviously, which we're not going to need right now.
Sure, no problem.
Alright, so this is Eskel. Every turn on turn end it boosts off by 1, but it's restricted to the melee row only, so it's an engine, and normally I would need 9 points of removal or a lock to kill this, but I can just Dragoon it and push it back.
Slaughter them to a man!
And all of a sudden, it's not so good. I'm actually going to ping this. The reason being is it makes setting up for Regis a little easier. I don't think I'm ever going to Regis in round 1, but there's no reason to have it available. Next turn we're going to go ahead and play Crushing. Lemons, I don't think has any value in this matchup, so he's just going to be a 5. Milva, you generally want to play at the very beginning of a round. I don't know. I don't like playing Milva in round 1. She's just such a strong card in round 3. We play Thunderbolt. If he gets greedy, we can punish him, because we do have artifact removal in our hand. He's going to use all 3 targets, or all 3 charges, which is fine. We are a few points below, though. We're 14 under. Our highest point card is actually Lemons. It's not great. So we have 3 ping on this, we have 1 ping on this, we have 4. I mean, honestly, the reality is I don't actually care if we go multiple cards down, because I don't mind a long round 3. This deck thrives in a long round 3 because of cards like Crushing Trap and Regis. So if I play a bad card here and he passes, that's fine with me.
Let us sing the song of steel.
So I can't catch up in 1 here. That's okay with me.
Barbarians.
We'll keep bringing these down for Regis. We really should play Crushing sooner than later. The problem is if we get below 4, we actually can lose card advantage. So if he doesn't pass next turn, I might actually have to play Crushing. I honestly expected him to pass. There we go. There's the pass. That's fine. Can we actually do this in 1? This is 5. Both of these tick. So it's 7. It's 10. We can actually do this in 1. That's impressive.
Kiss bar and neck.
These are pretty good, surprisingly. Yeah, so I wouldn't have minded going another card down there because I could have just opted for a dry pass, and this deck doesn't mind long round 3, so. But, I mean, I'll take a free card. I'm not one to complain about free cards. I'd like another gold, either marching orders, because my finishers are basically Regis, Gigni, Shiru, or at least 2 of them. I'm not going to take a mulligan here, though, because... Unless I'm scared of Letho. Am I scared of Letho? I guess I am. So we're playing 1 card here and then passing, because we do have cards like Regis and Milva and Crushing Trap, which all benefit from long rounds. The question is, what do I play here? There's 2 options I'm considering. And actually, I think it's Xavier, because this is worth 6. This helps line up for Regis and Gigni, if I draw Gigni. And Sapper is, I mean, he showed us that he runs Thunderbolt and he runs Combat Engineer, so he should probably be playing another artifact. So I actually think I'm gonna lemons here.
My scars? No, they don't hurt.
Depending on which row you play it on determines its effect. If you play it on melee, it banishes your opponents. If you play it on the ranged row, it banishes cards in your graveyard. The only reason you would want to banish your graveyard would be if your opponent is playing Blue Dream or some weird Lippy combo where you fill your deck with bad cards, Xavier the bad cards, and then swap. I don't know. There might be some Lippy combo with Xavier.
Witchers
I don't know why else you would want to sack your own graveyard. So I think we just take this pass here. This is an engine. I don't know why he played it. Generally, you shouldn't open with an engine in a round 2, especially when your opponent's probably going to pass, but it's fine with me. So he'll play another card here to avoid milling himself. He's probably pretty sad he played an engine in round 2. Maybe he plays Renew. I don't know why you'd play Renew in this deck. I guess you could renew Vesemir. So he misplayed. He's gonna mill a card you're about to see right here. The only time this is actually correct is if your entire hand is like absolutely insane. If you have like a full hand of golds. Oh, okay. Well, we just... Wow. These are some very good draws that I could not have asked for better. We just drew all our win cons. So Marching Orders is hitting Shiru, but the problem is normally I call for Shiru with Call of the Forest.
Now, how did that incantation go?
So this is going to be interesting. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So we can either call for Shiru at 5. He'll come out at 5, right? The 2+3 buff on call. Or we can Marching Orders him out and Thunderbolt Potion and boost him to like anywhere between 4 to 8. Huh. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess we'll have to wait. We'll go ahead and open with Milva. The only reason this is bad is if he plays a card like Epidemic, but Epidemic wouldn't trigger. I mean, it would trigger here, but he'd sack his own card, and I don't think he'd play Epidemic in that deck. As far as row placement, if I'm considering playing around Gigni, are any of my cards melee? So this has this actually doesn't have reach. The only cards that have reach in my hand are Bowman, and Bowman always go on the back row to maximize damage. So I guess we'll go ahead and play Milva in the front row.
I'll get it done.
And we can stack everything back, because Milva is gonna get not super huge, but a decent size. I actually don't know what this pulls. Marching Orders pulls, if I, assuming I Shiru via call, my Marching Orders is hitting, well, it would hit these, but these are gone. Archer, I have both Archers. Do I have both Bowmen? Okay, so it's pulling out another Bowman, I believe, if I'm Marching Orders. Alright, so there's an artifact, Scale Shield. We're just gonna go ahead and remove it. We have an elf, so it's fine. The only consideration to not remove it is if I think he plays Sea Hill, which I highly doubt this list plays Sea Hill. I'd be very surprised if this list played Sea Hill. It doesn't really fit the archetype. So we're just going to go ahead and remove it.
I'm so tired.
basically the next couple turns are going to look something like playing these 3 cards. If he ever gives me a Gigny target, I'll probably take it. I do have to remember he still has Witchers, and those are coming out at 6
I
apiece.
sense trouble.
There's a Ciri. It's a big Ciri. Actually, a very good card. This is 8 provision. If you play Vesemir twice, this is an 8 for an 8 with an upside of being able to bleed in round 2 and get extra value. Very, very strong card in this deck. What do we play here? I think we're going to go with Bowman. He might play Artifact Removal, which is why I'm hesitant on playing Thunderbolt. Yeah.
Go Black Banner!
We're going to ping the smaller unit because... Gigny? We'll say that. Gigny. The reason you don't ping it is because when Trap goes off, it kills the unit, which is bad because it means we're losing value on Regis. Alright, so you just Viper Witchered and burned our Blaze. Not Blaze, sorry. It's a Sainthius. Which is fine, I guess. I mean, we weren't going to get the card anyways. I had no access to it, so it's not a big deal. So we can use Archer to ping the 8 down so that he has double 6s. So if he plays Witchers, it's 5 6s. But that's too obvious. I think if I made that line of play, he would just play Witchers down here. And I don't have any movement in my hand. So I don't want to disincentivize him not to play on the same row. So I think we're playing Thunderbolt Push. And I really am worried that he runs Artifact Removal. I'm actually going to Trap. It's a little early, but the idea is it might spook him into playing Artifact Removal right now. I'd rather him remove this than this because I do have Regis and Gigny, so I don't really want to be damaging the rows too much. Normally I save this to the end of a round, like 3 cards before the end of the round, but because I have both Regis and Gigny and I'd like to get good value out of them, we're going to play this somewhat early. If he doesn't remove this turn, it's probably safe to say he doesn't have Artifact Removal, so we'll go ahead and play Thunderbolt next turn.
In your dream.
That's an Avalok. That's actually scary. I don't know what he's going to immune. So I think I actually need to kill this, which is kind of spooky. It's easy to kill. All I do is Ethne ping it and then Gigny. It clears the whole row. The downside is Witchers, but the reality is if he's smart, he'll just play Witchers on melee row. He's not going to row stack an entire row, so we're just going to go ahead. Ping this twice.
Not your lucky day.
We're going to lose Cushing Trap value, but this card is just too spooky. You need to remove it. Giving immune to a card is just very scary. There are cards like Vadier that can get a lot of value. That's interesting. King of Beggars. Turn end. Boost a lowest unit in your hand by 1. I don't... It's kind of late to be playing that card. Generally, I mean, that's an engine you'd want to play it earlier, I would think. We're going to go ahead and kill it. So if you right-click a trap, important that you right-click. If you left-click, you see at the bottom it says Zeal. That means if I click it, it'll actually flip over and do 1 damage to a row that I select. So make sure you right-click. You can see the timer left. So 1 turn, which means it's going to pop at the end of this turn on the row with the most units, which in this case is his back row. So we're going to go ahead and play Archer here. We're going to ping King of Beggars down to 2. This will flip over and kill the row. So we have a 20-point lead, which isn't bad. We'll probably play Thunderbolt next turn. We actually do have a lock if I need it. We can play Call of the Forest on Dolblathana Bowman and pull out a our Siren. And we can lock a unit if we need that. So I'm going to keep that option available. I'm going to go ahead and play the Thunderbolt Potion here. Placement doesn't really matter. I don't think I'm scared of Artifact Removal. We're 3 cards left. I would be very surprised if he was holding on to artifact removal this entire game. So we still don't know what we're doing. We can pull Shiro with either one of these two cards. This Regis is going to get abysmal value this game because my opponent's not really playing anything. Also, we had to use 2 Ethnic Ping, so we can't even set up a nice Regis.
Sometimes I've had about enough.
Okay, that's Ox. He's just locking a unit. I think the correct play is to Regis. It looks crazy, but I think it's correct.
Anything in particular interest you?
The idea is his other Witchers are 6, so our Shiru is going to be massive. How big? Yeah, so Shiru comes out at 5 or 2, depending on which of these two I play. We'll see. So if he plays Witchers here...
Sure, no problem.
Okay. So, we can burn all the 6s in 2 different ways. We can Marching Orders it out at 2, buff it up to 6 and go off. Or we can call a card, pull it out at 5, boost it to 7, and then Ethnic Ping it down to 1 for 6. But that's a little bit more clunky, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to go the easier route, which is just this.
What do you
Play Shiru. Go ahead and boost him twice. Click on him. Burn his entire board. It's pretty decent. Shiru's pretty good when your opponent plays 4 units that are all roughly the same value. Shiru has the potential to be absolutely insane, as you just saw. People are up pretty late playing PTR. That's good.
I respect nothing human.
So we got a mirror match, which is going to be fun. So Sainthius is really good in mirror. Marching. Do I keep whole hand? I'm going first. I don't really have a proactive play, and I don't really want to play this. Look at one of these. That's a proactive play. Okay, this hand's okay. Go ahead and open Swordmaster. I'm gonna buff it because it's really, for Ethne, it's really easy to kill this. This plays into Epidemic, but Epidemic got nerfed from 5 provisions to 8 provisions, so I would be very surprised if people were running it. Mastercrafted Spear. Okay. Go ahead and remove it. It looks like, well, I mean, so far it's an artifact deck. Just double check we have an elf.
For Jorven!
Alright, so we trade up 3 points there. It's not bad. I guess I'm kind of sad that I mulligan the first Sapper away. We'll draw it later for his Sea Hill. There's a Skirmisher. I think I'm going to go ahead and play a Thunderbolt Potion. Because normally I'd opt to play one of these 2 cards, but I'd like to get full value out of this Swordmaster. So we're going to go ahead and ping. Play Artifact. I'm going to use a buff. 2 buffs. I'm not going to use a 3rd. If he wants to use Artifact removal on it, I'm okay with that. Because I still have Crushing Trap and another Thunderbolt Potion. So if he wants to use his removal now, it's fine. We did lose coin, which means we are probably not going to win this round, and that's fine. Because generally control decks want to win round 1. Granted, we are a control deck, but if you lose coin flip,
I'm too old for this
you don't
shit.
really have control over the round length. I'm going to go ahead and play a Crushing Trap. I'm going to play it quickly and play it in between to pretend like it's Horn, Mahakam Horn, and instantly pass. He could pass here and actually gain 2 card advantage. But once again, card advantage in round 1 isn't a super big deal. If he passes, I don't mind going a card down, or 2 cards down. I'll just pass and opt for a long round. Alright, he played a wolf, just fine. We're gonna go ahead and play Archer here. We're gonna play it in the front row. Well, we're gonna ping first. Because if we ping first and then do this, we get a tick to go down.
I never miss.
I could push hard here and play everything. Play this and play Ethne and then take a pass. It's a lot of points. Because this is flipping at the end of next turn. So going hard here is actually not bad. Do we want to buff? Go ahead and buff this. End turn. This will go down to 1 tick. Okay, he took the pass. I'm fine with that. This would have flipped over for 8 damage. So, it's fine with me. Take the round. It's fine. We basically traded nothing for Witchers. We traded a Crushing Trap, which I'm fine with. Good card. Good card. We are opting for a long round, so we are never taking mulligans here. So if you lose round 1, you do generally want to take mulligans because your opponent could go for a 2-0, and if you do what I just did there, which is keep your hand, your opponent could punish you, right? Let's say you have like 2 or 3 bronzes in your hand that are, I don't know, wolf packs or like 4 points bronzes. They're not great. So your opponent could punish you and try to go for a 2-0 if you're greedy and you hold all your mulligans. If you right click on your opponent's leader, you can actually see how many mulligans they have. So he has no mulligans left. He played correctly. I'm gonna go ahead and play this.
May your sword and arm be one.
It is an engine. I am opting to pass next turn. You always want to bleed yourself down to 7 before passing into the next round. Normally you would want to save engines for a long round, but because we're playing against Ethne, it means we're playing against a control-oriented deck, which means engines don't have a very high chance of surviving. So we're basically just throwing it away because we need to throw away a card. He's playing Ithlin. It's good.
The yellow snow.
He's getting 4 points of carryover, which is very strong. We're going to opt for a pass here. He's killing the engine, which is fine. Doesn't do anything. I mean, it denies me 1 point, but he'll play another card here, unless he wants to discard a card for no reason. Interesting play. This card generally, in a 10 card round, is going to be 10 points. Maybe he's scared of artifact removal? It's an interesting play. So, assuming he's playing well, that line of play tells me that he doesn't have any artifacts in hand. So we do take mulligans here. We have Crushing, Shiru. So this is playing Gigni. I probably want a mulligan Shiru because I don't have Thunderbolt Potion. We're gonna keep this. Drop the Trapper. We definitely don't want Panthers. Panthers are really bad because it's Scoia'tael only units, and because we're in a mirror matchup, the Panthers will be hitting for nothing. Marching orders is a little awkward. We have Gigni and Regis. We have both of these. Do we have any humans? None of these are humans, right? Yeah, none of these are human. We could have, if we had any humans, we could call a human and pull out Milva, which in this matchup is very strong because it is a control matchup, so cards with immunity or the immune tag are worth a lot more than non-immune cards. It is his turn, I think. He's just roping. That's fine. Huh. Okay. So we have a couple options here. I think so. Some of these decks play Hattori, and Hattori reses an artifact. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and lemons here. I don't think there's any reason not to.
My pain serves a purpose.
So marching orders is hitting Shuru, which is really bad. Actually, wait, this is a human. There is a human in my hand. Okay, so assuming he doesn't kill this, I'm actually gonna call this for Milva. Huh. I knew I had a human in my deck. I just couldn't remember. Hopefully he doesn't ethnic ping this. He shouldn't. There's no reason to. Thank goodness. Generally, in an ethne deck, you want to save ethne to the end of a round, unless of course you're killing an engine, because you can set up cards like Gigni or Regis, or Shiru for that matter. Generally, you use Call for Shiru, but in this matchup, because it is a control-oriented deck, he's not going to have a lot of big units, in theory. So having immunity is just going to be worth more. So we're going to sack Lemons, and we're going to play Milva.
They'll not leave here alive.
Cool. So our marching orders is hitting Shiru, which is
Blood and neck ends.
kind of
Civilian
awkward,
bark.
but you know what? I can live with it. We'll be hitting some 2s, and it's not the end of the world. So I don't want to play Blaze Scoia'tael here yet, because if I play this as the Scoia'tael unit, Milva will get buffed and we'll have double 8s, and there's a chance he plays Scorch. And I don't really want to walk into Scorch, so we're going to avoid walking into Scorch at all costs. We don't want to play any of these cards, so we're playing one of these two. This loses value, so we're always playing Archer here. We're never pinging both of the units, because then it puts it to 1, and 1 is bad for my Shiru. So we're going to opt for 2 damage and ping the front guy. So Milva will offset next turn and go to 9 when I play Scoia'tael, which is good.
They can hide, but
There's
there's
an
no
archer.
escape.
Ping. Go ahead and play Blaze. I don't know why I keep calling this card Blaze. So we have 2 immune cards, and my opponent can't interact with either. Which for a deck that just point slams isn't an issue. You just ignore your opponent's cards. But this is a very control-oriented list, which means generally you're hitting your opponent's cards. And because both of these are immune, he can't really hit much. So definitely a good position to be in. We're gonna go ahead and pick it down to 2. Why not? Set up Shiru. We can add. Okay, conceded. I mean, the reality was I was gonna wipe most of his board, and this is why immune cards are so valuable. Some people aren't huge fans of them, and they don't really understand mirror matchups or control matchups. If you played live Gwent, Teruvial is a very, very important card in a mirror matchup, because it's a card that's upside down that your opponent can't interact with. So cards like Scorch or Lacerate or Weather, any kind of damaging effects can't touch them. Another card is like Sapper. You play a Sapper as your second to last card in a mirror matchup. It's 11 points your opponent can't interact with. And generally in control matchups like Scoia'tael versus Scoia'tael, points or games are very close. They're maybe like 12 points to 15 points. So having those ambush cards are super important. Immune cards basically act like that. They can be interacted with. You can Gigni them, you can Scorch them, you can Epidemic them, but these cards aren't as common. So yes, these cards are absolutely insane in mirror matchups. In decks that aren't focused on removing, so these decks are playing more units, such as Nilfgaard, SK, NR, and monsters. Basically every deck that's not Scoia'tael is more unit heavy, which means cards like Shiru, Regis, and Gigni get more value. So basically, depending on your matchup, your win-con changes. Control matchups, you're looking for Milva and Scoia'tael, versus any non-control deck, you're looking for these 3 cards. And Call of the Forest. Call of the Forest is super strong. It might actually be worth considering putting in another human into this deck, just so that I can pull out Milva more often. Because my only Milva target to pull out for human on call is Vesemir. We could play Strage, actually. Strage is pretty good. It's another movement card, and movement is just good. So we could actually, if there's less artifacts, I would opt to drop Sappers and put in Strays. I actually think we have too much removal. So, okay. I'm going to drop 2 Archers and put in 2 Strays. I like this. The reason we're going to... this is difficult. So, do I keep Panther or do I keep Archer? So now I'm wondering if I want to play Archers instead of Panthers. Because in a Scoia'tael mirror matchup, Panthers are bricks, so 3-point bronzes, and that's pretty bad. Against non-Scoia'tael decks, though, they're 6s, and these are only 5, but these have flexibility. There's a decent amount of Scoia'tael. I'm going to drop the Panthers and run Archers. I think this is better. So we have 2 more humans in our deck, which means finding Milva via call is going to be a lot more consistent. The only downside of running Strays, actually the downside is with Milva, because Strays are not Scoia'tael units, it won't buff Milva. So Milva will be slightly smaller in some games by 1 to 2 points. But Strays is just more movement for cards like Gigme, Regis, Trap, so it's just worth it, I think. So I guess this is the updated list. So as you can see, lists can change very, very often. Hope you guys enjoyed the deck. I will see you guys later. Ciao.